I need to confess something. The night I knocked on Evelyn Hart's door, I told myself I was just returning a package. That's the safe version. The truth is, I think some part of me wanted an excuse to see her. I didn't know her then. Not really. Just a name printed in gold on a leather planner inside a box that had landed in my apartment by mistake. But for 3 days, that box sat on my kitchen counter like it was waiting for something. Or someone. Maybe it was the initials, EH embossed in quiet power. Maybe it was the address, Riverside Drive, the kind of place men like me drive past, not into. Or maybe I was just lonely. That Tuesday night, rain washed Harwick clean. Maya was at her grandma's. The apartment felt too quiet, too empty. And I've learned that when it gets that quiet, you either sit in it or you move. So I moved. I drove across town with that box on my passenger seat, telling myself I was finishing something small. I'm big on finishing small things. They're the only parts of life that don't fall apart on you. I didn't expect her to open the door at midnight wearing a silk robe the color of storm clouds. I didn't expect her eyes, sharp, tired, guarded, like a woman bracing for impact. "You're not security," she said. It wasn't a question, and in that second, I understood something without knowing why. She had been expecting someone else, someone dangerous. I held up the box like it was a peace offering. "Just your mail. Got delivered to the wrong Ford 12. For a flicker of a second, her mask slipped. Relief, then calculation, then something softer. "Come in," she said. 2 minutes. That's all it was supposed to be. 2 minutes in a house made of glass and steel and quiet money. I should have handed her the box and left, but the moment I stepped inside, I saw the war she was fighting, and I knew somehow I wasn't just there to return a package. I should have left. That's the part that still gets me. The box was on her marble console. My job was done. But I didn't move, because when the door closed behind me, the house didn't feel powerful. It felt tense, like something had been pacing inside it. Her living room wasn't cozy. It was controlled. Perfect lines. Expensive art, not a single thing out of place, except the coffee table. 3 phones, all face down, like she was trying not to look at them. "You can go," she said politely. CEO voice. Dismissal wrapped in silk. But one of the phones buzzed. She didn't touch it. It buzzed again, and something in her jaw tightened. I've seen that look before. The "if I let myself react, I'll break" look. "You okay?" I asked before I could stop myself. Her eyes snapped to mine, assessing. Why does this construction worker think he gets to ask that? "I'm fine." That's what people say when they absolutely are not. Another buzz. The name lit up this time. "Grant Mitchell." She didn't answer. The phone stopped. 10 seconds later it rang again, and I don't know what possessed me, but I glanced toward the window. That's when I saw it. A car, parked across the street, engine running, lights off, watching. My chest tightened. "Are you expecting someone?" I asked quietly. She followed my gaze, and for the first time since I'd stepped inside, I saw fear. Not panic, not weakness. Fear wrapped in control. "No," she said, too fast. The phone buzzed again. Then her voice changed. Quieter, almost to herself. "They won't stop." That wasn't meant for me. That was a woman exhausted from holding up a crumbling wall. And I don't know why this mattered to me. I don't know why I cared, but I did. Because 3 years ago I stood in my own apartment, holding my daughter while my marriage collapsed around me. And nobody knocked on my door. Nobody stayed. I should have left. Instead, I heard myself say something that changed everything. "Who's Grant Mitchell?" Her eyes met mine. And that's when I realized I had just stepped into a war. I shouldn't have asked. You don't step into a stranger's battlefield at midnight. But I did. And the moment I said his name out loud, something shifted in her. Not anger, recognition. Like she was deciding whether I was a threat or an ally. "He's a board member," she said evenly. "At my company." Board member. That meant money, power, leverage. The phone buzzed again. She grabbed it this time, but not to answer. She turned it face down. "He's trying to force me out," she added. Just like that. No drama. No explanation. Just truth dropped between us like a loaded weapon. I didn't understand corporate politics. I understood men who tried to take things that weren't theirs. I understood intimidation. The car across the street still hadn't moved. "He the type to sit outside someone's house?" I asked. Her jaw tightened. "He's the type to make people uncomfortable until they make mistakes." A long silence stretched. Then she looked at me differently, not like a stranger, like a calculation. "You saw the car," she said quietly. "I did." "And you didn't pretend you didn't?" "No." Her shoulders lowered a fraction. That was the crack, not trust, but acknowledgement. Another phone buzzed. Different one. She ignored it. I stepped closer to the window, not aggressively, just enough to confirm what my gut already knew. The car's engine revved slightly. Waiting. That's when something protective lit up in me. Not romantic, not heroic, just human. You shouldn't be alone tonight, I said before thinking. Her eyes snapped to mine. I'm not alone, she replied. But her voice betrayed her. She had security cameras, lawyers, money. What she didn't have was someone physically present who wasn't on payroll. And for some reason, I didn't want to walk out into that rain and leave her standing here with buzzing phones and a man watching her house. You don't even know me, she said softly. I know what it feels like to be cornered, I answered. That landed. Silence again. Then a decision. Stay, she said. Not commanding, not polite, just honest. Stay. And that's the moment everything changed. Because I didn't stay to be brave. I stayed because walking away suddenly felt worse. Staying felt reckless, but leaving felt like betrayal. Not to her, to myself. I told myself I was just being cautious. A man in a car outside. Late hour. Rain. It wasn't safe. But that wasn't the whole truth. The whole truth was, I didn't want her to face it alone. She walked toward the kitchen slower now. The CEO mask had cracks in it. I don't need protecting, she said without looking at me. I didn't say you did. She turned then, eyes sharp again. Men usually do. I felt that one. I'm not here to rescue you, I said quietly. I'm here because I saw something wrong. And I fixed things. Her lips almost curved. Is that what this is? She asked. A broken hinge in my life? No, I said. More like a loose wire. One spark and the whole place burns. For the first time she looked impressed, or maybe surprised. The car outside finally pulled away, slow, deliberate, like it wanted us to notice. Her shoulders didn't relax. They're trying to build a narrative, she said softly. That I'm unstable, emotional, making poor decisions. And standing in your own kitchen is part of that? No, she replied, meeting my eyes. Letting the wrong man stand in my kitchen is. The words hit differently than she intended. I felt the distance between us. Her world, mine, glass walls and board votes, tool belts and drywall. You think I'm the wrong man? I asked. She studied me too long. You're not who I expected to knock on my door tonight. That wasn't an answer, a beat of silence. Then she said something that changed the temperature of the room. I was expecting him. My chest tightened. To threaten you? To intimidate me. To see if I'd flinch. And would you? She stepped closer, close enough that I could smell rain in her hair. I don't flinch. I believed her, but I also saw the exhaustion behind it. And that's when something shifted in me. Not attraction, not yet. Respect, because this woman wasn't afraid. She was tired of fighting. And when she looked at me again, her voice softer now, she asked the question that made my heart kick harder than it should have. Why are you really still here, Caleb? I opened my mouth and realized I didn't have a safe answer. Why was I still there? I could have lied, said something clean, responsible, distant. Instead, I told her the truth. Because I know what it feels like when someone's trying to take everything from you. Her expression shifted. Not pity, recognition. My ex-wife left, I continued quietly. Took half of what we had, tried to take my daughter too. Lawyers, accusations, the whole thing. I remember standing in my kitchen feeling like the walls were closing in. I swallowed, and nobody showed up for me. Silence. The rain softened against the windows. You don't even know me, she said again, but it sounded different this time. I don't need to know everything, I replied. I just know I don't like seeing someone cornered. She studied me like I was a risk assessment, like she was calculating the cost of letting me matter. You're not afraid of him? She asked. Should I be? He's powerful. He destroys reputations, careers. I shrugged slightly. I pour concrete for a living. My reputation isn't exactly fragile. That made her smile. Small, but real. The tension in the room eased just a fraction. Then her phone buzzed again. This time she picked it up. A text. Her jaw hardened as she read it. What? I asked. She hesitated, then turned the screen toward me. A photo of her house, taken from the street, time-stamped 2 minutes ago. The message below it. You shouldn't be alone tonight. My blood went cold. That's not concern, I said. No, she replied quietly. That's strategy. The car had left, but he hadn't. He wanted her unsettled. He wanted her doubting herself. He wanted her isolated. You should call the police, I said. And say what? She asked. That a board member took a picture of my house? He'll say he was checking on me, concerned about my stress levels. I hated how calm she sounded, like this wasn't new, like she'd learned to live inside pressure. You can't fight this alone, I said. Her eyes met mine. I don't. The words hung there. I don't. And suddenly this wasn't about a package, or a car outside, or corporate politics. It was about whether she was going to let someone stand beside her, and whether I was brave enough to keep standing there. She took one slow step closer. Stay, she said again. But this time, it didn't sound like a request. It sounded like trust. That word did something to me. Trust. It's heavier than it sounds. I nodded. Okay. Just that. No hero speech. No promises. But something in her shoulders eased when I said it. She walked to the window and closed the curtain slowly, deliberately. Not hiding, just choosing what she let in. You don't have to fix this, she said quietly. I know. And you can still leave. I know. She turned toward me then, arms folded, not defensive, just steady. Most men try to take control when they feel threatened. I don't feel threatened. You should. Maybe, I said. But I've learned something. She waited. When you're scared, you don't grab the wheel. You sit steady. You don't let the other person see you shake. Her eyes softened. You've been shaking, I added gently. Not accusation, observation. That landed. For the first time all night, she looked vulnerable. Not the CEO, not the strategist, just Evelyn. I built everything from nothing, she said, voice lower now. And they think because I'm a woman who didn't inherit power, I must have done something wrong to get here. Anger flickered under her control. They want me gone. And you won't go. No, she whispered. A long silence passed between us. It wasn't awkward. It was charged. I stepped closer, but slowly, giving her space to step back if she wanted. She didn't. You don't look at me like they do, she said. How do they look at you? Like I'm either an obstacle or an opportunity. And how do I look at you? She held my gaze. Like I'm a person. That hit deeper than anything else tonight. Because she was right. I didn't see a CEO. I saw a woman standing alone in a house too big for one person, fighting men who thought intimidation was strategy. And suddenly the air between us felt different. Quieter, warmer. Not romantic yet, but something close. She exhaled slowly. If he comes back, she said, I won't flinch. I know, but I'm glad you're here anyway. Her voice softened on that last word, and I realized something dangerous. I wasn't staying because I felt responsible. I was staying because I wanted to, because being near her felt like stepping into something I didn't understand yet, but didn't want to walk away from. Outside the rain stopped. Inside the silence shifted. And when her hand brushed mine, accidentally, maybe, I didn't pull away, neither did she. Her fingers stayed there, just barely touching mine. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't a spark or fireworks. It was quiet, intentional, and somehow more dangerous than either of us expected. She looked down at our hands like she was deciding whether this was a mistake. You should go, she said softly. But she didn't move her hand. That's not what you want, I replied. Her jaw tightened. You don't know what I want. You don't want to be alone tonight. That silence again, heavy, honest. Then she stepped back abruptly, like she'd almost crossed a line she wasn't ready for. I don't blur lines, she said, regaining her composure. Not in my personal life, not in business. I'm not a line. That slipped out before I could filter it. Her eyes flicked back to mine. You're a complication. There it was, the first crack in the calm. And you don't do complications, I guessed. I eliminate them. That should have stung. Instead, I smiled slightly. Then I'm not your problem. Her gaze sharpened. You have no idea what kind of world you just stepped into. You're right. I took a breath. But I know this. If you push everyone away every time things get messy, you're going to win your company and lose everything else. That hit hard. Because she didn't argue. She just looked at me like I'd said something she hadn't let herself think. You think I don't know that? She whispered. I think you're tired of choosing survival over connection. Her eyes flickered. There it was again, that almost flinch. The one she said she never did. And suddenly this wasn't about Grant. It wasn't about board votes or intimidation tactics. It was about her, about a woman who'd built an empire and forgot how to let someone stand beside her. She stepped closer again, slower this time, measured. You're not afraid of me, she said. No, you should be. Why? Because I'm not easy. I held her gaze. I'm not looking for easy. Something shifted then. Something softer. More human. Her voice dropped. And what are you looking for, Caleb? That question wasn't about tonight. It wasn't about safety. It was about us. And for the first time I felt it. Not just tension. Not just chemistry. Possibility. And that scared me more than Grant Mitchell ever could. What was I looking for? I could have said something casual. Nothing serious. Just helping. But she deserved better than that. I'm looking for something real, I said quietly. Her breath shifted. That's vague. It's supposed to be. I stepped a little closer, not enough to corner her, just enough that she'd have to choose whether to close the distance. I'm not here for your money, or your power, or whatever story that guy out there is trying to write about you. Her eyes searched my face. I'm here because when I saw you standing in that doorway, you didn't look powerful. She stiffened slightly. You looked tired. That did it. That broke through the armor. I am tired, she admitted. And the honesty in that one sentence felt more intimate than any touch. Tired of proving I belong. Tired of fighting men who underestimate me. Tired of not knowing who's loyal and who's calculating. She looked at me then, softer. And you're just here. Yeah. No angle? No angle. A long pause. You have a daughter, she said suddenly. Maya. How old? 7. Her expression changed when I said that. Warriors understand children. It shifts something. And you're careful, she observed. About her, always. And about me? That question caught me off guard. I don't want to complicate your life, I said honestly. You already have. Her lips almost curved. Then why are you still here? I asked gently. She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she stepped forward, slow, deliberate, until there was barely space between us. Because, she said softly, for the first time in weeks, I don't feel like I'm strategizing. My heart pounded. You don't? No. Her voice lowered. I feel seen. There it was again. That word, seen, not CEO, not target, not liability, just her. And I realized something dangerous in that moment. I wanted to keep being the man who made her feel that way. Her hand lifted, hesitated, then rested lightly against my chest. Not seductive, grounding, like she needed to feel something steady. You shouldn't make this harder for me, she whispered. I'm not trying to. You are. Her eyes held mine. And the worst part? What? I don't want you to stop. The air shifted, not explosive, not reckless, just charged with something neither of us had planned. And for the first time that night, Grant Mitchell wasn't the biggest risk in the room. We were. Her hand was still on my chest, light, steady, like she was checking for a heartbeat. You should go, she whispered again. But her voice didn't have conviction. Do you want me to? I asked. Silence. Her eyes dropped to my mouth for half a second. Then back up. That's not a fair question. It is. She exhaled slowly. No, she admitted. I don't want you to. There it was. The line crossed. Not physically, emotionally. And that was more dangerous. You don't do impulsive, I said quietly. No? And this feels impulsive? Yes. Her honesty made my chest tighten. She wasn't playing a game. She was fighting herself. I don't let men close when I'm under attack, she continued. It clouds judgment, creates leverage. I'm not leverage. You could be. That's not why I'm here. I know. Her voice cracked just slightly on that last word. I know. And that's what made this harder. Because she believed me. That meant she had something to lose. I don't blur professional lines, she said again, softer now. And I definitely don't invite strangers into my house during a corporate war. And yet you're still standing here. The tension between us wasn't lust. It was gravity. Two people who recognized something they didn't expect. Something inconvenient. Something that arrived at the worst possible timing. You're dangerous, she said. How? You make me feel calm. I blinked. That's dangerous? For someone like me, yes. She stepped back slightly, reclaiming space. I've built my life on control, Caleb. Precision, strategy. You feel like risk. Maybe I'm not risk. What are you? I didn't hesitate this time. Maybe I'm peace. That hit her harder than anything else I'd said tonight. Because her expression changed. Not defensive, not guarded. Soft. Like she'd just realized how exhausted she really was. You don't even know what you're offering, she whispered. Yeah, I said gently, I do. A long silence passed. The house felt different now. Or still outside. But inside, stillness. She looked at me like she was standing at the edge of something. And I knew this wasn't about a kiss. It wasn't about chemistry. It was about whether she'd let someone matter. Finally, she spoke. If you stay, she said carefully, this isn't casual. My heart kicked. It won't be a distraction. And it won't be temporary. She held my gaze. Because I don't let people close unless they're prepared to stay. The rain had stopped. The world felt suspended. And I realized something. This wasn't impulsive. This was a decision, and she was asking if I was strong enough to make it with her. This isn't casual. Those were her terms. Not romantic, not dramatic, clear, strategic. If you stay, she said, eyes steady on mine, you don't get to disappear when this gets complicated. My chest tightened. I don't disappear, I answered quietly. You don't know what complicated looks like in my world. I know what it looks like in mine. She held my gaze like she was searching for weakness. I have enemies, she said. Powerful ones. I have long nights, travel, media, pressure. I can't be someone who needs saving. I don't want to save you. Then what do you want? I stepped closer, close enough that our breaths tangled. I want to stand next to you, I said. Not in front, not behind, next to. Something broke in her expression then. Not strength, not control, relief. You'd be choosing a storm, she whispered. I've rebuilt my life once already, I said. Storms don't scare me. Silence does. Her hand tightened against my chest. You'd have to meet my daughter, I added softly. That surprised her. You'd let me? If this is real? Yes, but only if you're not going anywhere. Her eyes flickered with something deeper now. Not fear. Commitment. You think I'd walk away? I think you're used to walking alone. That landed. She stepped forward. No hesitation this time. And she kissed me. Not reckless, not desperate, slow, measured. Like a woman making a contract she fully intended to honor. When she pulled back, her forehead rested against mine. If you stay, she murmured, you stay through the board vote. Through the attacks. Through the ugly parts. I stay. And you don't flinch. I don't. A small breath left her. Then stay. Outside, somewhere in the dark, her enemies were still planning. Grant Mitchell was still calculating. But inside that glass house, a different alliance had just formed. Not built on power, not built on fear, built on choice. And for the first time that night, she wasn't alone, neither was I.